The dog wasn't sick. The vet said so. No injury, no disease, no explanation. Yet every night he ate less and disappeared into the dark. And while his owner lay awake, unable to eat, unable to sleep, terrified that his best friend had been stolen or killed, the dog was walking miles in silence, carrying food in his mouth for someone who had no one else. In the rolling hills of rural Montana, where golden fields stretched under vast blue skies and old dirt roads whispered secrets of forgotten times, lived a faithful golden retriever named Max. He belonged to an aging rancher named John Harlan, a kind-hearted widower who had raised Max from a pup. John treated Max like his own child, sharing scraps from hearty steak dinners, letting him curl up by the fireplace on chilly nights, and playing fetch in the yard until the sun dipped low. After his wife passed, the house grew quieter, but Max filled that silence with loyalty, warmth, and presence. But lately something was off. Every evening, John filled Max's bowl with generous portions of kibble mixed with leftover roast beef or chicken, his favorite. Yet Max ate only half, gently nudging the rest aside before slipping through the dog door into the twilight. John noticed immediately. Max's coat lost its shine, his steps grew heavier, and his eyes carried a distant, worried look. "You feeling sick, buddy?" John murmured, rubbing Max's thinning flanks. Worried, John called a nearby veterinary clinic and took Max in for a full checkup. Blood work, physical exams, careful observation. The result? Nothing. No illness, no injury, no sign of pain. The vet suggested age or stress, but John left more unsettled than relieved. Something wasn't right. What John didn't know was that Max was living a secret life. Weeks earlier, while roaming near their old cabin beside an abandoned gravel quarry, Max had stumbled upon a deep pit, overgrown with weeds and shadowed by jagged rocks. At the bottom of it, a tiny mountain lion cub. The cub's spotted fur was caked in dust. Its eyes were wide with terror. It had fallen in while wandering too far from its den, and its mother was nowhere to be found, perhaps frightened away by gunshots or the rumble of passing trucks. Trapped, starving, alone. Max didn't bark. He didn't run. He tilted his head, whimpered softly, and left. But the next night he returned, with food. Carefully clutched in his jaws, Max dropped chunks of meat into the pit. The cub sniffed cautiously, then devoured it with tiny, grateful growls. From that moment on, it became a ritual. Max ate less at home, saved the best pieces, and under the cover of dusk, walked to the pit. Night after night, the cub grew stronger. Its ribs filled out. Its cries turned into playful chirps at the sound of Max's paws. And each time Max lay at the rim, tail thumping softly, as if whispering, "Hold on, I'm here." Then life changed. John received a business opportunity, a contract to supply hay to a large ranch 2 hours east. It came with a new apartment in a busy town. "It's our fresh start, Max," John said as he packed. They moved. For a few days, Max paced the unfamiliar floors. Then one morning, he was gone. John searched everywhere. He called neighbors, posted flyers, walked the streets shouting Max's name until his voice cracked. "Where'd you go, boy? Come home." John couldn't eat. Food sat untouched as fear twisted his stomach. His thoughts spiraled. Was Max stolen? Hit by a car? Taken by someone who wanted a dog like him? Days turned into sleepless nights. Then, at midnight, a scratch at the door. John opened it, and there was Max. exhausted, paws raw and bleeding, fur matted with dirt and burrs. Max collapsed on the welcome mat with a weary sigh. Relief flooded John, then confusion. "What happened to you?" He cleaned Max up, fed him extra, but the dog looked haunted, stressed beyond words. The next morning, Max ate half his breakfast and slipped away again. That's when John made a decision. If he's going back to the old place, John muttered, grabbing his keys, maybe there's something there he thinks he needs to protect. John drove back to the old cabin and parked quietly among the trees. From afar, he saw it. A dog that looked exactly like Max, moving slowly behind the quarry. The dog was carrying food in his mouth. His steps were heavy, his body tired. John's heart pounded. That was Max. He followed quietly, staying hidden in the shadows. Max led him straight to the pit. John peered over the edge and froze. The mountain lion cub, now lively and alert, leaped up with excited cries as Max dropped the food. Max lay down at the rim, resting his head near the edge, tail wagging faintly as the cub ate. Tears streamed down John's face. His dog, the one he feared was sick, stolen, or lost, had been walking miles every day, starving himself, enduring pain, all to save a helpless wild baby. In that moment, John understood. Max's heart was bigger than hunger, bigger than distance, bigger than pain. Overwhelmed, John returned the next morning with ropes, a blanket, and a call to local wildlife rescuers. Max watched closely as they worked. Carefully, patiently, they lifted the cub to safety. The little puma, now strong and full of life, paused, just for a moment. It leaned forward and gently nuzzled Max's nose. As it bounded away into protected lands, tail flicking, glancing back once, Max let out a soft, contented woof. It was over. From that day on, John never let Max go hungry again. Their bond deepened. Evenings were filled with extra treats, long walks, and quiet moments by the fire where John spoke and Max listened. Word spread through the town, and people learned something important. True compassion doesn't roar. It whispers through quiet acts of selflessness. What would you do if your pet vanished for days? Would you follow their trail? Have you ever witnessed an animal's act of kindness that changed your life? Share your story in the comments. I read everyone. If this story touched your heart, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional stories from When Animals Love. Thanks for watching. Let's spread some kindness today.